Welcome back to another video. Today we're gonna be hopping in the boat with Brad Hawthorne. We had a number of guys out earlier this week. We were chasing down some walleyes on Mille Lacs Lake, and in this video we're gonna share a bunch of tips that'll help you catch more fish this spring. Bonus points if you're going to Mille Lacs, but these tips will help you anywhere you go. So without further ado, let's jump right in.
So we're out here on Mille Lacs. It's the day, the Monday after opener, and reel down on that guy. And what we're doing out here, it's really simple. So suckers, shiners, and tungsten jigs. And one of the reasons we're using tungsten is that guy right there, mega live, and you can mark the fish before you get to him. So a lot of times if I'm jig trolling or pitching, I'm marking the fish ahead of time and driving the boat through them, and then either pitching or jig trolling the fish to catch them. It's really simple, it's really effective, and what you'll see is there's not a lot of fish that are biting right now that are just like tapping it. They literally, you come in and they just absolutely crush it. So for you guys looking for an easy bite, I don't know, come out with your family, kids, whatever, go out and buy a pair of tungsten jigs, throw them on here with either some suckers, shiners, or fatheads, and start pitching them out. If you're jig trolling, less than 0.8. If you're pitching jigs, cruise along till you see a pot of fish and just start chucking at them. And we'll go through the colors and kind of the cadence that we're using on the next few fish here.
Next, we got a little bit more information from Brad talking about how he's been catching them since the season opened up here in Minnesota.
All right, so what's water temps right now are all over the board because when the lake blows one way or another, it cools it down or warms it up. So what we're seeing is about 52 to 57 degrees across the whole lake. And what I'll show you the color here. You would think bright, shiny, gold, that type of stuff. Oh, I might need that.
In fact, that's what you told everybody to tie on.
That's what I told everyone to tie on. And then I go throw literally a watermelon and start whacking them. But as you can see, I mean, the fish are biting. They're super easy to catch. Like, honestly, the 1-2 punch on Mille Lacs, I don't want it to sound like overly complicated. So literally, if you have side imaging or good 2D on your boat, you come out here and just mark these pods of fish, throw a tungsten jig and gold, watermelon, bubble gum, or actually it's moonlight or moon glow. It's off the top of my head, I don't remember, but those are the 4 or 5 colors that are putting these guys in the boat. And this bite is gonna last like this for another 2 to 3 weeks as long as we don't warm up too quickly. So if you want to get out and catch some walleyes, get out here and do it because they're snapping.
Next up, Sam Larsen, who does a bunch of stuff over at Northland, including product development, gets in on the fish catching action.
Sammy coming in clutch. Ooh, with the giant. Nice work, brother. Look at that. And I might be the only one that saw you switch that color a little bit ago.
I know.
Get up here. So last year Sam made a switch to this color and then he started cleaning up, and I just noticed about 5 minutes ago he went and chucked on this color and whammo.
Glow moonlight. Beautiful fish, saw him on the Mega Live and pretty close to the boat, pitched right out to him and bam, a few seconds later. So
that one,
tungsten jig, hard to beat.
Next, we have another Mille Lacs walleye from Sam and a few good tips from Brad, including when you should change colors.
So this is the definition of when do you know when to change color or not? When to change color. Number one, when the dude you're fishing with whacks 2 identical giant walleye on a color, that'd be your indication to tie off.
In what?
And
2 minutes?
change. Yeah.
1/4 ounce tungsten. Love it.
That is just an awesome fish. So that's kind of the 1-2 punch is tungsten, because you can see it on forward facing sonar. Number 2 is either when we come to these fish, if they look like they're jig trolling fish, we're trolling through them. If they look like pitching fish, we're pitching. But it's like super simple. Like not this one, but the fish before Sam saw it on live, it was like literally fed the thing a jig and then set the hook. And then this one, he pitched out to the side because we're looking. So it's always, you can have 2 guys trolling jigs, a couple guys pitching jigs. You can make it as metric as you want, but the main thing is get out here and do it. and use tungsten so you have that feel and that sensitivity.
Back she goes.
There's a number of ways to hook a minnow, but specifically if you're using a longer shank jig, the double hooking method can be really effective because it gets that hook a little bit further back on the minnow and helps with hookup ratio. So Sam's gonna demonstrate how to do that right now, how to double hook a shiner.
So a couple ways to rig these shiner minnows with the tungsten jig. The short shank, I just like going through the lips and out the back of the head. With the long shank, or more of a standard shank jig, I kind of like double hooking them. It gives you a little more compact profile. Your shiner's gonna last a little longer. So through the mouth, I go out through the belly and then push that shiner up as far as you can and then kind of bend it around. And some people hook it sideways. I like to kind of come in the side there by the lateral line and just poke it out the top. Gives you a nice little profile. It's weedless if you're fishing in weeds, but again, I just like how compact that jig presentation looks, and that's what I've been doing. So see if we can get another one.
Next up, the boys are gonna explain how they were presenting their jigs to catch fish on this particular trip.
Another one. Just
Another one.
Pot of them out on the Mega Live and pitch to them and
Nice. Dude, the fish are snapping this morning.
doing a little snap jig, pop pop, and they're just hitting it as it falls back down to the bottom.
It's definitely we started out this morning, we were kind of jig trolling, and then we went to pitching, and now we're kind of doing a modified approach where we're still using Mega Live to point them, throw at them. Two dudes in the back of the boat are dragging, and me and Sammy are pitching. It's actually working really well.
It is. It's a combination of the sharpshooting them, but there's also a lot of fish that are just mixed in between. So
they're a little neutral, and the guys dragging jigs, like those fish that are neutral that Sam and I aren't getting pitching, literally the jigs drag by them and thunk thunk back of the boat goes. It's really cool, like 1-2 punch to catching these Mille Lacs walleyes right now.
Who's up? Sammy's up again.
it looks like it could be another slaughter too.
No way.
That's a nice one.
These fish, you know, it's little bite flurries, and we have to move around. Some we can get and sharpshoot them, but some we've been moving around. And another thing is, you know, on Mille Lacs here, with this clear water, a lot of people use a really light jig early in the year, but I'm using a quarter here, and I think one thing that's helping me do is I can pitch a really long cast out there. So when these fish kind of start to get a little boat shy and aren't biting, we're not getting the sharp shooting bites, I'm able to pitch that jig way out there. Look at that thing, it's just inhaled.
Adjusting the sight. So we were throwing at fish that were within 30 feet.
Yeah.
Now what Sam did, what we all did is upsize our jigs, and now we're throwing 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 feet out.
Bomb and cast, and that's exactly what happened to this fish. We're kind of trolling around, I'm pitching out the front, swinging behind, and boom.
Yep.
Right there. I got it.
Got it.
So, another beautiful fish.
Really productive day, and that's sort of like when you're jig fishing, like guys get stuck into that, like, oh, I'm gonna pitch all day, or I'm gonna jig troll all day, or I'm gonna vertical jig all day. We've done all three.
Yeah, as soon as it slows down, mix it up a little bit, because the fish are just, they're kind of moving around, they're doing different things, so stay on what's working and you're gonna get more bites that way.
Exactly.
So.
Next up, Brad shares some of his thoughts on jig weight early in the season, specific cast placement, and how he works his jigs to get bites this time of year.
Jigging, jig trolling, jig dragging, you're like, we're all across the board, right? So basically what we're doing is when I'm pitching, I'm using 1/4 and 3/8, and we're pitching those to fish we're barefying on Mega Live, and we're just throwing to them and working those fish. If they bite, great. If they don't, we're not going back to those fish. We're not throwing multiple times at those Mega Live fish. They get one shot. If they bite, great. If they don't, we're moving on. So for dragging, for jig trolling, we're using 1/4 and 1/8, and these are all rigged with a 3-4 inch sucker or a 2 to 4 inch shiner minnow. And jig cadence when you're dragging is quite simple. Hit bottom, give it a crank, and just pop pop, not snap jigging, just pop pop. You're not trying to rip that minnow off. The water's not that warm yet. So for jig pitching, throw past the fish you're marking. That is the biggest tip. Don't throw at the fish. If it's at 70 feet, don't throw 70 feet, throw 100. Get past that fish and bring the jig and minnow through those fish you see on live, and that's the key to being successful on that. Don't throw to them and spook them with the splash, get behind them. And that's basically the 1, 2, 3 on how we're putting fish in the boat. And this bite we're on right now, guys, it's gonna last like this for 2 or 3 weeks, so get on it. The only thing that's gonna change is the depth of water we're in. We're just gonna move out deeper. Right now we're basically 8 to 15. We'll go from basically 15 to 24 with the same technique. So get on it, get metric with it, and get out here and catch some fish, because it is kind of easy to do.
That's about all we got for you in this video. Special thanks to Brad and special thanks to Sam for catching a few walleyes and sharing a few tips. If you enjoyed this video and you learned something, make sure to hit that little red subscribe button down below, because we have a lot more content coming in the future. And until then, we will see you in the next one.